All right, all right, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Wednesday evening, Asian session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage, filling in for my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen, this evening. Hope everybody's doing well today. If you guys get a chance, shoot Benny a message, wish him and his wife a happy anniversary. Today is their 14-year anniversary. So he took the night off to spend some time with his wife and go out and have some fun. So if you get a chance, shoot him a message, tell him happy anniversary. They get appreciated. All right. So I had some interesting things happen today. Lots of movement in the market. We'll take a look to see what went down. As always, we'll take a look at some fundamentals before we dive into what actually happened. So let's turn off all distractions, prepare your minds and your bodies to engage as you guys always do. And for the courtesy of everybody on the call, please ensure that your mic is muted if you're not actively asking a question or making a comment. All right. So let's get switched over here. Take a look at trading economics. First thing we'll look at is right here, right? See if we can get it to load up. No, not the article. We'll just read them here. Dow and S&P booked biggest loss in 2 years. Dow Jones ended at 1,165 points lower at 31,490 on Wednesday. Its biggest fall since June 2020, led by a plunge in consumer shares after another retailer warned on rising cost pressures. Target shares tumbled 25% in its worst rout since 1987 after the company missed Wall Street expectations amid higher prices and supply bottlenecks while cutting its profit forecast due to a surge in costs. Walmart stocks fall 6.8% after issuing a similar statement on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the S&P declined 4% to 39.24, the biggest drop since June 2020. While the NASDAQ lost 4.7% to 11,418, the worst performance since May 5th. Investors worry that high inflation coupled with rising borrowing costs will severely weigh down on growth. Yesterday, Fed Chair Powell said the central bank would not hesitate to keep raising interest rates until inflation returns to the target 2%, right? So inflation is impacting some of your retailers. Now, investors see Walmart as kind of a safe haven, a steady place. Walmart took a hit as well. So that sent some signals up for investors. They're starting to have some concerns. This next article here, U.S. Treasury yields fall as stocks sink. The yield on the U.S. 10-year government bond fell below 2.9% after U.S. stocks sold off on Wednesday amid concerns over rising inflation and interest rates on growth and earnings. Early in the week, the benchmark yield topped 3% after Fed Chair Powell said the central bank will not hesitate to keep raising interest rates until inflation falls in a clear and convincing way, even if that involves moving past broadly understood levels of neutral. The Fed raised interest rates by half a point early this month, and Fed Chair Powell said two similar moves were on the table for June and July. So these the government bond yields, that gives you kind of a market sentiment, right, on the future of the economy from a global perspective. And as that falls, right, that tells you that the sentiment is deteriorating, right? And as it rises, right, then that'll be a change in the sentiment and a positive sentiment. So with that falling, that's a signal to investors that some more downside could be ahead, right? If you think about it, back in 2019, 2020, I believe the bond yield was around 6%, right? It was around 6%, and now we're dropping back below 3%. Right. So major move to the downside. So investors are concerned in regards to that move to the downside there. All right. So that is something. Do different bond yields mean different things? Yes. I'm not the expert on that. I just know a little bit about the treasury yields as we've been looking into them. We'll get Benny to break those down tomorrow for us. But yes, they do give different indicators to my knowledge, my limited knowledge on that side of it. But yeah, so we saw some big moves in the market today, right? Oil prices fall over 2%. WTI crude futures lost over 2% to settle below $110 a barrel on Wednesday after hitting a session high of 115.3 amid a general cautious mood and a fall in equity markets prompted by inflation and growth concerns. At the same time, worries over slowing demand due to new lockdowns and more coronavirus cases in China. This goes back and forth depending on which article you read in regards to lockdowns in China. Some say it's getting better, some say it's getting worse. But that also pushed prices down. On the production side, U.S. crude inventories declined by 3.4 million barrels last week, and gasoline stocks dropped by 4.7 million barrels. EIA data showed. Also, Russian production fell by nearly 9% in April, 1.2 million barrels per day, below the OPEC's designated output quota, as producers have started to shut some of the wells as buyers in the West are increasingly shunning Russian crude. Right, so it's going to be continue to be volatile as the situation in Russia continues to move forward, and as Europe gets closer to their embargo on Russian oil and energy. So that's oil. We got a pullback. We'll take a look at that and see where it is, where it sits, and what we could be in for going forward there. So that's an overview from the news and the happenings of today. From Forex Factory, we jump over. CPI for the Canadian dollar came in pretty high, right? Good for the currency, right? So could be some potential moves from the Canadian dollar in the future as well. All right. And then later on this evening, we have employment change and unemployment rate for the Aussie coming in at 9:30, about 20 minutes. All right. So that's something we'll keep our eyes on as well. Okay. From a risk appetite perspective, the VIXI is above 20. We saw it this morning. We're sitting at around, I believe it was around 18, right? 17, 18. And 20 is that identifier for us, right? Above 20 says we're in a risk-off environment. Below 20 says we're in a risk-on environment. And just today, we pushed up 3 points. So 14.6% on the day. So definitely pushed into a risk-off environment as we saw the yen pairs really gain some strength as investors have their concerns. All right. Let's see. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at the dollar. We'll take a look at oil. We'll take a look at the yen crosses to see what they did throughout the day today. We'll take a look at the Aussies. And then if we have some time later on, we'll take a look at any pairs you guys want us to take a look at. Okay. So let's hop over to the dollar. Right. So we looked at it this morning and we're looking at this retracement that was happening. This is on a 1 hour time frame. Okay. So on a 1 hour time frame, this is our AB boundary. We got that shallow retracement 118, 127 play. We got this pushed down, right? Got this pushed down, took out the previous low, we pushed up, and we broke the trend line, right? It was a decent break, but we're starting to get some consolidation here, right? So we want to keep an eye on this, right? One of two things could occur. We could see the dollar continue to rise, right? Or there is a potential here for a crown pattern, right? So this is what we'll keep our eyes on as we move through the evening and then the day tomorrow, right? We pushed down, took out that low. Now we're pushing back up and we're getting some hesitation here. So if we stay in this zone and the dollar isn't able to break out to the upside in a strong way, right, we could potentially see this pushback down to the downside and at least come back to this daily level and give us that deep retracement that we've been looking for. So on this one, I'm kind of playing the dollar a little cautious here, right? Some of these dollar crosses, because if this does turn over and push down, right, we could see some of those dollar crosses reverse, at least for a short period of time. Into tomorrow, we could see some of these retracements occur after these really, really impulsive moves through the day today. Generally, you see a bounce in the market take back a portion of the moves that occurred. The other interesting thing that happened is as the yen pairs were really picking up the steam, and even the Swissy really gained some strength today, you didn't see a ton of impulsive movement on the dollar. Right? You didn't see a ton of impulsive movement. So that caught my eye, which is why I'm watching the DXY to see if this turns over and pushes back down, right? As when we get to the yen crosses and the Swissy crosses, you'll see some really, really strong bearish candles, right? Like really, really long candles. And in theory, you would look to see that also in the dollar, but we didn't really get that. So, so that kind of caught my eye, and that's something I'm going to keep my eyes on over the coming days to see if we get this pushback down on the dollar and a pullback on some of those dollar crosses as well. All right, so we'll keep our eyes there. Again, some consolidation right now, and we'll see what happens throughout the night. Okay. Then over to oil. Right. This is oil. We know we've been in this large range, right? We pushed up to the top of this range, this monthly level. We got this consolidation. Now we got this pushback down. Nice 618 retracement here, right? And we're getting a nice reaction out of this monthly support level, right? So what we want to see is if we get this continued push to the upside, right? Definitely could be in for it, right? As things move throughout the night, like I said, we have a continued back and forth between whether China is actually making progress on the corona front or if they're not. And that depends on what article you read. But overall, supply is still an issue, right? Supply is a major issue that investors are keeping their eyes on. The Russia situation is also an issue that they're keeping their eyes on. The U.S. did remove some sanctions from Venezuela, which could potentially open up some supply opportunities. But as we get closer to the end of the month and Europe preparing for their embargo on Russian oil, which they're eyeing the 30th or the 31st, we could see this continue to push to the upside. So we could potentially play in this range of this monthly resistance and monthly support for a little bit as we move through the remainder of the month. So we got this push down, nice deep retracement. Now we'll see if we get a break of the trend line and a push back to the upside, right? Playing this range. So, okay, so that's where we are on oil. Any questions? No? All right, cool deal. All right, so let's take a look at these yen crosses real quick. And the Swiss, right? We'll take a look at the Swiss first, actually. So this dollar Swiss, we looked at it this morning, and we were saying, all right, our trend line was to the inside like this. We're looking at this trend line break here. We got a nice bullish move there. So, all right, we might be in for a move to the upside. But throughout the day, we got this turnover and this push down, right? Back down to this monthly level and a deep retracement off of the 1 hour fib, right? So if we bounce back and zoom out a little bit to see what's actually happening, come to the daily, right? Come to the daily, and from a fib perspective, right, this is where we are. Yesterday's candle, or today's candle closed, bears, a new AB boundary, right? We push back down to this monthly level that we just recently broke. Now we want to see, does this level hold and do we get a reversal, or does this continue to press to the downside and give us more of a retracement in favor of the Swissy, but that would also signal that we could get that retracement on the dollar as well, right? So if this level holds, we're getting some indecision right now. If we get a strong push to the upside and a break back above this monthly level, right, we could be then in for that rise to the upside. If the dollar retraces, we could see this move continue to press down deeper into the zone, down to this weekly level here in this range. Okay, so that's what we'll watch from a daily perspective. We got a new AB boundary, right? Shallow retracement and a push up will get us in this 118, 127 zone, which would be obviously signal positive momentum for the dollar as well, right? Still overall hawkish on the dollar. We just may get a retracement, right? A deeper retracement here on the dollar and some of these dollar crosses. So we'll continue to watch it there. We drop down to the 4. We drop down to the 4, right? And we'll zoom back out. Map these fibs from the low. Okay. This is where we sit here. All right. Shallow retracement 118, 127, and we're getting this pushed down now, right? So we want to see, like I said, does that level hold, or do we get a continued press down deeper on this 4-hour fib? Okay. So our trend line is out like that to the outermost point, and we're pressing down. So what we could see potentially also, right, is a slight pullback, right? A slight pullback. And then we'll see if we get that continuation to the downside there, right? For a deeper move on the 4. I would love to see a deeper move here, give a nice opportunity for a buy to the upside. And that gives some of the dollar pairs some relief as well, give you some high prices for an opportunity to get in those for the ride to the downside, right? So we'll continue to watch this and we'll see how price plays here at this monthly level. All right. So keep your eyes on that. All right. And as we get back down to the 1, we map the fibs to the top here. Right. And that's where we sit. 786, 86 retracement, right? Getting some consolidation, and we'll see how the market moves from there. So keep your eyes on this one, right? And watch this level. If we get that continued push down, right, we'll shift to the 4-hour fib and look to see how this weekly level holds. Okay. Does that make sense? You guys follow me on that? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So keep your eyes peeled there. All right. So that's the dollar Swiss, the dollar yen. Right. So here on the 1-hour time frame, we had a nice 50% retracement here, and then price pushed back down, but we could not push back below this level, right? So this level held here, giving us a double bottom look. So we want to continue to watch this one as well. We could be in for potential pushback to the upside in favor of the dollar. Okay. Double bottom held there. If we get this swing low to form, 2 candles to the right, right, that'll give us a new level of support there, right? So that's the 1-hour look on this. We drop back out to the daily to zoom out, give us that view. This is where we are on the daily. We got a shallow retracement, push up to the 118, 127. Now we want to see, this is that double bottom that we saw on the 1, right? Support level. So we want to see, does this level hold and does it rise? Or do we just get a pullback, slight pullback, and then a continuation down, right? Deeper on this shallow retracement play. Okay. All right. So we want to continue to watch that there from a daily time frame perspective, right? So it's all about those if then statements. If this daily level holds, right, we'll see a rise, right? If price turns over and that daily level does not hold, we can see a deeper retracement here, potentially coming back to either this daily level or this B boundary and this monthly level here. Okay. So that's what we want to see from a higher time frame perspective. Shamita, starting to catch on. Just don't want to speak too soon. No, that's all right. That's all right. Whatever questions you have, just don't be afraid to ask them. Right? Don't be afraid to ask them, because those questions are going to be really, really important in you continuing to solidify those connections that you're starting to make. You're starting to get it, right? It just takes time, right? One step at a time. So great job. Keep digging in. And when those questions pop up, just don't hesitate to ask. Okay. So that's the daily look on that UJ, right? We drop to the 4. Drop to the 4. Right, come back to the low. Okay, that's where we sit there, right? On the last impulsive leg to the upside. This is where we sit. We got a deep retracement already. Like I said, this is that double bottom look. So we want to see, does this hold and do we get a rise out of this? Okay. So we'll continue to watch this one. This one is always interesting because you have the dollar, which acts as a safe haven and a risk asset. Hold on one second. So this one was always interesting because you got the dollar, which is a safe haven asset and a risk asset at times, with the yen, which is a safe haven asset. So you get some back and forth sometimes. So we could see some consolidation also happen here as investors decide which side they fall on, and if we get that push in the dollar, which we could see. And in that event, we could see this continue to rise. Okay, so that's the 4 hour, and then back to the 1, right? That's where we sit. That's where we sit on the 1, right? Looking to see how the market responds at this daily level. Okay, so keep your eyes on this one. It's sitting at a nice deep level. Drop your trend lines on like so. Okay. And we'll see if we get a trend line break out of this. Here we go. We'll see if we get a trend line break out of this. Right, the price is testing the trend line right now. Okay, so we'll see if we get that push and that rise. All right, you guys follow me on this UJ?
Yes.
Okay. Cool deal. All right. Aussie yen. No. We'll look at the pound yen, euro yen, then we'll take a look at the Aussie yen. Because we got some news coming up tonight on the Aussie yen that definitely want to see happen. So on this pound yen, right? We said this morning we could be in for a move to the downside off a potential crown pattern, right? We had a good conversation about pound weakness, right? I'm sorry, yen weakness, and how we could see a continued rise in this as pound has some pretty strong numbers, and there's anticipation of the pound, right, increasing interest rates in the near term, where the yen not so much. But we also have this harmonic pattern here that we also wanted to watch and see, right? And as the day played out, we got the strong bearish candle here, right? Strong move to the downside, which is could be some confirmation for us. We broke back below the trend line that we just broke to the upside, right? And that could be this bearish candle, dark cloud cover, could be indication for us that we're in for this move to the downside to occur, right? So we'll continue to watch this. We're getting a little bit of a retracement right now, coming back to retest this daily level, which we'll see cleaner on the 4, right? But we're coming back to retest this daily level and that trend line that we broke back below. All right, so that's the daily look, looking at potentially pushing deeper into this fib And if price continues to move to the downside at some point, we could see that A get taken out. Okay. But this is a reversal signal for us. Okay. Damon, so when it comes to the fib, do you want to trade from the green to the yellow, red, or vice versa? The red when it shows up. I think I'm confusing myself when it looks at these videos. So the green and the red, you'll have green on the bottom when you're moving to the upside. You'll have red on the top, yellow on the bottom when the fib is moving to the downside. That's all the green and the red background means. It gives you your, on an up fib, right? This is your deep retracement, right? Our sweet spot zone. It highlights it for us in green, right? The yellow is your up push zone. So when price is pushing to the upside, right? The green on the up fib, right? Fib moving to the upside, this green zone here is in our sweet spot, right? These are the zones that we like to trade, 618, 786, 86. So on an up fib, the bottom half of the zone is going to be green. The top half of that is going to be yellow, right? On a fib moving to the upside, right? It's just a color code. That's not necessarily what we look at, right? We look at the fib levels, 618, 786, 86, right? That's just a color code for the fib to tell you if price is in a retracement zone or if it's in an up push zone, right? So these aren't necessarily the areas in which you trade. No, we trade the fib levels, right? So we like our sweet spots, 618, 786, 86, right? That gives us the deep retracement, or we trade the B boundary, 118 and 127 zone. Does that make sense? Okay. So we'll see, right? On this move here, right? On the daily, if we get this continued move to the downside, we're getting some retest of that daily level right now. Okay. We go to the 4, right? This is that crown pattern with more detail. Okay. And this is the fib on that harmonic pattern. Let me take that out so we can look at this, right? So the fib on harmonic pattern takes the whole leg to the downside. We got a 50% retracement off of that, right? So now we're looking at this push to the downside here and potential continuation deeper, right? We'll take that out. Hold on one second, everybody. All right. Remove this so we can see it a little bit cleaner, right? So we got this 50% retracement and we're pushing to the downside, right? So now we want to see, right? We're getting a nice little retracement now on the lower time frames with the potential of continuation to the downside, okay? So that's what we're looking at here, right? Continuation to the downside, 50% retracement, matching the extension is down here at 147,515. So if we continue to move deeper into this risk off environment, right, we could see this continue to press down. Okay.
Right.
Ms. Treva, what's up?
I got a fib on my 4-hour. Going the other way. On the right there back where you was at.
Yep. So your new fib on your 4 would look like actually no.
It came up on Smart Trader.
Yeah, I just got to map them out here because I didn't rerun them. It'll be like this, right? And this fib got taken out to the downside.
No, it's closer to the edge, to the last. It's closer to the last leg of the crown. That last.
Here.
Yeah, right there. Popped
to
up
the
right
upside.
There, the bottom to the top.
You would have had to place that one.
With my thing, with my
auto. Yeah, you would have had to put that one in there like that.
Oh, I might have. It's been there. But I just noticed that my chart looked different than yours.
Yeah. I didn't have to fib.
Is it any relevance to it, or is it the same?
Well, it's still a fib sequence. So this is going to be, these are going to be fibs on the lower time frame. right? So on that 1 hour time frame, when we get down there, you're going to see this action here on the sub fib play.
Oh, it could have
Right.
been because I do that. So okay.
Yeah, I'll identify it once we get down to a 1 hour time frame. But that's what it is, that move to the upside, and we saw a new AB boundary on the one inside of this move to the downside, and that gave us an indication because it was at a sweet spot. So I'll show you. I'll call it out once we get there to the 1 hour.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. So we got this harmonic pattern here, right? If we were just to run our fibs on this, right, and not look at the harmonic pattern fib, it still puts us in the same position, right? AB boundary, we got a nice deep retracement, 618 retracement here, right? Price turned over, and now it's pressing down. Okay, so even here, we're looking at price at least getting to this 150 level just off of the fibs, not looking at the harmonic pattern. Okay, so overall, looking at price continuing to push to the downside. Right. So, Damon, you see the difference? This red zone here, right? This is just telling you this is the retracement zone, right? And the yellow is the extension zone. Okay, that's all that tells you. And then we got our fib levels here, right? You see the difference from, gotcha. Okay, cool. But so we're in this down push zone right now, right? Looking for price potentially to continue to push to the downside. Have to break through this weekly level, and then we'll look at this monthly level as a continuation there. Brandy, where you got your fibs running from?
So I ran it from the top from like September 21st,
September
2021.
21st?
Yep,
They came on
2021.
September 21st here.
Yeah, from that top. But my chart just looked very different than yours.
You looking at the GJ?
Okay, that would do it, huh? That would do it. Okay, now it looks the same. Okay, bye.
All right, so that's where we sit. That's where we sit right here, looking at nice move to the downside. Okay, so price turnover pressing down. So as we continue to move down, we get to the one. This is what I was talking about here, Treva, right? So if we run our fib from the top to the bottom, this is our active AB boundary. Let me clean this up a little bit, right? So this is our active AB boundary here, okay? This is our move to the upside. It's all good, Brandy. I had a long one too. I feel you. So active AB boundary, right? That move to the downside, right? Now we got this nice retracement that we're looking at this morning, right? And price started to turn over. So Treva, what you were seeing is these sub fibs here, right? That's what you were seeing on the 4 hour time frame. We got a new AB boundary in line with the 8-6 retracement. Price turned over up against that downtrend line, pushed down. Right. So this is what you were seeing on that 4, this retracement move here. Right. So now,
because I played that the one that you just said, the AB that you had yesterday, and then today that was a nice full move down, and then it hit 61.8. So of course, pull out time, and so now I was just want to check to see, does it look like it's going to do a slight little retracement there at the
yeah. So the way I'm looking at this is this is my capital fib here. This is my active AB boundary to the downside. We got an 8-6 retracement. So overall, I'm looking for this to continue to the downside, right? To get to at least the matching the extension of the 118, right? Could we get a retracement here? Absolutely. We'll see how it plays. We're up against this downtrend, this inner trend line right now. We could get a break of that and a pullback into this daily level that we're bouncing back and forth in. But so the question then is, does this daily level hold, right? Does price stay below this level? So we could get a retracement into that zone, but does price ultimately turn over and continue to press down, right? Or if price breaks above that level, right, we could be in for another move back up, right? So that's what we're looking to see. Beautiful move to the downside, right? From the high there, 369 pips, 360 pips to the downside. Now, if we get a retracement here, right, you can drop down to the lower time frames and run your fibs on this leg here to look for a potential entry and continuation down, since it looks like we could be staying in this risk off environment, right? With the VIX over 20 and some of the concerns of the investors. So what ultimately we want to see is, does this daily level hold, right? Does this daily level hold? If you get a break of this middle trend line here, right, this outer trend line, we could be in for a continued move to the upside. If price pushes up to that trend line and rejects, we could then see this move continue to the downside. Does that make sense?
So if that trend line holds, that would be considered the sell price up here.
Up here?
Yeah, if that trend
You
line.
could, yeah. You absolutely could. So what I would suggest to ensure that you're within your rules is I would drop down to the 15-minute time frame on this and run my fibs on that last leg. All right, I drop down here. Now I run my fib off of this leg here. Right now, if I get a nice deep retracement off this here, 618 level, I look to enter that to the downside.
Okay.
That's how I would play that for a re-entry. Or if you're looking to add to your trade or something like that, right? Because see, you got a new AB boundary, shallow retracement, push down. Now we're getting this move back up, right? So that's how I play it on a 15-minute time frame to get me a cleaner look than it does on the daily. Same process though. Look for price to come into this 618 level, right? Potentially back to this zone here, right? And then look for price to turn over.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So that's how I look at it. But overall, I'm bearish on this, and I'm looking for price to continue to the downside, right? I am looking for a retracement on this. If I get a nice retracement back up into the zone, I'll look to add to my position to the downside, right? But I'm also looking at this crown pattern overall continuing to play out as well, right? This is what that looks like on the 1 hour time frame, right? So I'm still looking for this to play out over time and continue to the downside. Okay. So if you're not in this and you want to, like I said, I drop down to the 15 and see if you can find an entry, get you a deep retracement off of those down fibs, deep retracement up into this daily zone, and then look for that reversal back to the downside. Okay. Questions? Did anybody take this move off the session this morning? Move to the downside?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Malcolm got in too. Beautiful. Right. So that's where we sit on the pound yen. The euro yen, similar deal, right? Similar deal. Daily time frame, another potential crown pattern. Right. Price came up, retested this monthly zone, and we got the turnover, right? Strong bearish candle, dark cloud cover, retesting that candle. We'll see if we get a turnover and continue to press to the downside with this one as well. Okay. We'll go to the 4. And this is the look. All right. That's the look. We have a 38.2 on the 4, but we're looking at price to continue to the downside off of this crown pattern here. Okay. So looking for this to continue down. We got a nice break of the trend line, strong move, retracement, Now we're looking for the continuation, right? This is that fib there. 50% retracement, right, off this right tip, right? Matching extension is here. Okay. So that's what we're looking like on the 4. Looking for price at least to come down to this 127,909, potentially down to this weekly level in line with that trend line, this long outer trend line here. Okay. So on the move to the downside, pulling back right now a little bit. Okay. Pulling back right now. So if we drop down to the 1, this is what that move looks like. These are our fibs to the downside, right? Just off of the fib sequence. This is our active AB boundary, right? We got a nice deep 618 retracement here. Okay. Trend line to the downside. We've got our consolidation, and here we got the breakdown, right? So here's our pullback that's happening currently. Strong bullish candle, right? We could see a continued move to the upside. Take this out, right? So we could see continued retracement here. Central break of that trend line, pullback, right? Continue move to the upside there, give us a retracement off the strong move down, right? And then we could see this then continue down like so. Okay. But overall, this is another one that, yes, we could potentially see some moves from the euro next month as everybody believes they have to become more hawkish in their stance. But with the concerns in regards to the impact of inflation and the impact that it's having on businesses, we could still see this continued push to the downside as we move more into this risk-off environment, right? If that occurs. Okay, so already on the move, looking for a retracement, and then we can play a continuation move if we get this, if we get a nice deep retracement off of that. Okay, you guys follow me here?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Anybody in this move to the downside?
Not yet.
Not
I took
yet.
GJ.
Say it again.
I took GJ instead.
Just took GJ and said, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great work. Great work. Right. But another nice move. Right. Another nice move to the downside. Another 200 pips. So GJ 360 pips. There's euro, yen 259. Right. All in a day's work. Okay. So that's the euro yen. Let's take a look at the CAD yen. Right. Similar scenario, not a crown pattern, but similar scenario where shallow retracement pushed up into key level, right? Not quite into that 118, 127 zone. And we're starting to get this breakdown now, right? Starting to get this breakdown. And today, right, past couple of days, we had a nice retracement off of the move, retest the level that we pushed out of, and then we got a strong bearish move today, right? Strong move to the downside. Now we're getting a retracement, trying to retest some of that candle, right? Some of that bearish move, potentially for a continuation down, right? So we could get retracement back up to this level and then a potential continuation to the downside, right? More of a risk off environment and not CAD weakness, because we know we got some strength in the in oil, but we could definitely see this risk off environment continue to impact these commodities and move against the commodity currencies, right? So if we, as we go down to the 4, right, this is what we have. This is that move to the downside. We got a nice break, right? Last week, and we got this pullback, right? This is the pullback at the beginning of this week, and this is that turnover and press down, right? It's the turnover and press down. So now, right, didn't move a ton, but moved a decent amount, 159 pips to the downside. Right now we're getting a retracement. See if we come back and retest this monthly level again, right? Retest that monthly level and then give us a turnover and continue to press down. Okay, but we got a nice trend line break. This is our pullback. We'll see if we get that continuation. Okay, so as we drop down to the 1, Here, we potentially have a head and shoulders pattern here, right? If we get this pressed back up to this level, right? This is my entry. If we get the press back up to this level, right, in line with the left shoulder, okay, you could see this head and shoulders pattern play out and this press down to at least this daily support level. Okay. From a fit perspective, we got a 32 retracement, price pushed up, couldn't break out of that 118, 127 zone in this monthly resistance, turnover press down. Now we're getting this pullback. Okay. Now we're getting this pullback. So this is what I'm waiting to see. If I get a pullback to this level, right, I'll look to add to this trade to the downside, right? So we'll be patient and see if we get this right shoulder to form. Okay. You guys follow me on this head and shoulders pattern here? And how that plays into this overall reversal to the downside from a daily perspective?
Yes.
Right? Daily perspective, if we get this right shoulder to form, press down, take us down to this daily support level. Okay. All right. So that's the CAD yen, right? Looking for a retracement just like these other yen crosses. And then we'll see if we get that turnover and press to the downside continue. Okay. Now to the Aussies. Aussie yen. Daily time frame. We got the press down to the 38.2, right? Price gave us this move back up to retest this daily level that we previously broke through, right? We tested it once, tested it twice, broke through it the third time, came back and retest as resistance now. We got the strong bearish move down, right? Similar look to those other yen crosses, right? So we got price trying to come back and retest some of this strong bearish move here, right? So we could get a pullback, something like that. And then we'll look to see if we get a turnover and a continuation deeper. Okay. So as we go to the 4, this is what that looks like to the downside. Okay. This is what that looks like to the downside. Nice retracement, push down. Got another retracement here. Didn't quite get to the 618 level, right? Couldn't fully push through this daily level that it came back to retest. And now we got to press down. Okay. Now we got to press down. So now we're looking at, all right, great. If we get this retracement here, right? If we get this retracement here, like so, we will look to see if we get price to turn over, continue pressing to the downside. Okay. So this one we'll watch and see. Doesn't look like we're getting much movement from a news perspective on the Aussie, right? We had unemployment news. Let's see. Came in below expectation here. Below expectation there, the unemployment rate came in as is. So mixed sentiment there. So indecision, right? So we could see that didn't have much of an impact on the Aussie. So we could definitely see a nice retracement happen here. And if we stay in the risk off environment, Aussie being a commodity currency, definitely could look at this continuing to press to the downside. Okay. So as we get down to the 1, this is what that looked like. AB boundary, right? This is that full move. This is that full move down, right? Full move to the downside. This is our active AB boundary here. Bang, beautiful retracement to 8.6 level. Price turned over. Price turned over. Press down, right? We said if we get a break back below this level, right, we could see that continued press to the downside. If we got a break above, right, we could see price push up, take out the A. Well, the break below occurred, right? Got a nice, strong break of the trend line, just continued to fall off, okay? So what we want to see again on this one is a nice retracement to occur, right? Clean this up some. Want to see a nice retracement occur here, right? we get something like that to occur, retest that daily level again, potentially, right? We'll see if we get that turnover to happen. Okay. Questions on this Aussie yen? Similar to the others. Similar to the others. Well, this trend line break was key, right? This was a more of an outer trend line, non-aggressive trend line, right? We got a strong break of it. So like I said, we'd love to see a nice retracement here and then get a continuation to the downside, headed to the matching extension here of the 86492, right? To be right in line with this long-term outer trend line. Okay. So we shall see. We shall see. We shall see. See what tomorrow brings us. Okay. Euro dollar. Euro dollar. We've been watching this one because we want to see, like, do we get this continued press to the upside here, right? We got a shallow retracement sitting below the 127 level, but couldn't quite get to the D extension, right? And we're getting some consolidation and some hesitation here. We got a strong bullish move, but couldn't break back above this weekly level, right? And now we got this press down today, and now basically we're moving sideways here, okay, from a daily time frame perspective. So as we drop down to the 4, right? Shallow retracement, 118, 127, strong push to the upside. Now we're getting a retracement, okay? So we want to see this retracement, in theory, was expected here, right, off of the strong bullish move. Now, as we're retesting, right, this previous zone that we broke out of, we want to see, do we get a turnover and a press back to the upside? Okay. Do we get a turnover and a press back to the upside? Right. So we'll watch this one to see what happens there.
Hi, Benny. Hi, Mary here.
Hey, Ms. Mary.
I was speaking to someone earlier. If you can look at the Euro USD on the monthly, because they're saying that in order for the Euro USD to go to parity, it will have to take out the A on the monthly, and that has not happened in how many years? So they say they're not going along with what everyone else is saying, but
take out,
I mean,
take out what A?
I think he drew a fib. He drew a fib. Let's see. No, he drew an up fib from. You see where it
From
found?
here?
Yes, I think that's where he drew. Because I tried doing it, and I think that's what I got.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I mean, anything is possible, you know.
To be honest with you, this parity has been insights for some big time banks for a very long time. And yeah, it would have to break this level. I agree, it would, right? We see it's held. That's been level, right? It was resistance here, right? Yes, it would have to break that level. Do I think it happens? I do, right? I don't see the euro being bullish against the dollar, right? And when you look at it from a technical perspective, this is a key level, right? If that level gets broken, we're going to be in a free fall for a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least down to this next level here, right? At least down to this level, which is just below that parity, right? But also when you look at it from now, I'm not sure who you're watching, but they drew a fib kind of in the middle of a sequence, right? Just maybe looking at the range play, what have you. But if you look at the fib from the top of the move to the bottom, right? That matching the extension, because we got a 618 retracement here, didn't quite get to the 786. So you got a 618 retracement. The matching extension is at parity, right? So yeah, they can say it's going to have a tough time breaking through the level, and it may have a tough time breaking through that level. But do I believe it happens? I do, right?
Yes,
Especially
that's why I said anything is possible. You know?
Yeah, I mean, just look at it from, if you look at it remove the technicals from it and look at it from a fundamental perspective, right? Because you have been saying all the time, there's no technical level that will stand in the way of a fundamental occurrence.
Yeah.
Right. So looking at it from a fundamental perspective, if that statement is true, right? If the Fed, Chair Powell said yesterday, they won't be afraid to go above the neutral, the understood levels of neutral, right? Which is 50 basis points. That's the neutral line currently. They won't be afraid to go above that. So if they go to 75 basis points, this level won't stand a chance, right? That level won't stand a chance. Okay. Also, you have, you're already seeing investors start to move their money into safe haven currencies, right? You also have a euro that overall is a laggard when it comes to increasing interest rates. So yes, they will likely have to do something in June, but will it be extremely aggressive is the question, right? If the euro does not come out extremely hawkish and make some drastic moves, again, the euro doesn't stand a chance against the dollar, in my opinion, right? So you have a lot of things adding up from a fundamental perspective that says we're still going to be seeing dollar strength, right? So again, yes, this level this is a very, very strong long-term level. I agree. But fundamentally, the dollar is the currency with the dominant currency in this scenario, in my opinion, based on what I see. Right. So we'll continue to watch it and see. It'll be a good show to watch.
Yes.
It'll be a good show to watch, right? But based on how I see the technicals, right, from a monthly perspective, even though I don't draw my fibs normally on the monthly, right, the matching D extension is at parity there. And as we continue to move down through the time frames from a weekly perspective, right, looking at it from a weekly, right, move has been to the downside. If we map the fibs from the top to the bottom, we get some taken out. Whoops. Get some taken out. Okay. Right. And so you look at it here, right? So on a weekly time frame, 50% retracement, right? Matching the extension below that $1 mark, right? So if the monthly fib plays out, you're going to be at parity. If the weekly fib plays out, you're going to be even lower than parity, right? So as we continue to move through the time frames, this daily fib plays out, you're coming just shy of it, right? At 103. Okay, then you can potentially get a new fib. But if you break below this level, right? If price presses down and breaks below that level to get to that D extension, that level's broken, right? And we could see a retest and a continuation down, right? So on every level, right? If the D extensions get hit, right, you're just looking at a deeper and deeper press below this monthly level, which is held for quite some time, but could likely get broken. So, yeah, that's my view. If you can't tell, I'm bullish on the dollar, right? But from a fundamental perspective, all signs say the dollar will continue to be strong in the short term. Unless something ridiculously drastic happens that changes that stance, which that would mean that the Fed would basically have to walk back their interest rate hikes, is how drastic that would have to be, in my opinion, for the dollar not to be strong, right? So that's what I see, right? And here on the 4, right, matching the extensions at parity, right? As you get down to the 1, active AB boundary, matching the extension. Actually, we got a 786, right? So that's at 103, which is in line with the 4-hour D extension, right? So all these signs point to price push to the downside, right? So we'll see if we get this continued turnover, right? But as we move down, here, right? Still sideways, push back up into that zone, but we press back down, right? On the one, this is what we're looking at here, right? I drew my trend lines to the upside, mapping this retracement. We got a 786 retracement here, broke through all three trend lines, bang, came back and is retesting the trend line here right now, right? So we'll see if that break and retest holds for continued press to the downside, right? That was a beautiful trend line break, retest, trend line break, retest. We'll see if we get this continued sequence to the downside. Right, so that's where we sit on this euro dollar. That was the original markup that I had, right? And that's what we're looking at so far. Been holding the trade for a long time, just to say. What's your entry on that one, Dosen? One Dosen said he's been holding trade for quite some time on this one. No doubt. But yeah, all signs are pointing to the downside in regards to this euro dollar. We could definitely get a retracement of some sort, but I don't see it being a complete reversal and change of sentiment anytime soon. We got a question? All right, cool deal. Any questions on this Euro USD? Yeah, I took some money off the table too. Actually, what I ended up doing, because I'm looking at retracements on all those yen pairs and these dollar pairs. The movement, how fast it moved, caught me off guard. But I was looking for, right? I was looking for these moves to eventually happen. When didn't know for sure. How fast it moved surprised me. I wasn't expecting investors to be so shaken by the current state, and I wasn't aware of any of the earnings or anything on the stock side, which also put them in a state of shock, right? Because that's kind of what led to some of the thoughts that they had. Some of these major organizations that are staples in the stock market didn't meet expectations, and they revised their yearly earnings. That was the biggest thing. They revised. Target and Walmart did it the other day. Target did it today. They revised their end of year earnings, right? So their projections for the end of the year, they revised those lower. They don't believe they're going to be as profitable this year because things are more expensive, right? The cost of shipping, the cost of gas is more expensive. And Walmart said that they cannot pass that cost on to the consumer, right? So they're going to take it out of their profits, right? But it's still a sign of inflation now impacting your businesses, right? Impacts their financials, impacts their earnings, also could lead to inability to hire, right? So you could start to see some hiring freezes, whether it be in your company or some of these other companies, because things have gotten more expensive, right? And their cost is getting higher. So they're trying to cut down on the budget any way possible, right? Recruiting costs money. Hiring people costs a lot of money, right? So they want to cut down on as many expenses as they can for situations like Walmart, where they said they can't pass that cost on to the consumer, right? Similar to Target, right? So they're going to eat it, but it's going to cause them to cut back in other areas. So keep an eye on that as well, right? Keep an eye on companies not hiring more, right? Which could also then impact some of the reports that we see on a cyclical basis, right? New job openings, things like that, see those starting to lower as we move through this. And all of this is an impact of inflation, right? Initially was just impacting the consumer from a cost perspective, but now it's impacting businesses, and that really shocked investors, right? So that's where we sit. That's where we sit. Okay. We'll take about the next 20 minutes. One Dawson said January 13th. Oh man, you've been holding up for a minute. 114473. Sheesh. Great work, bro. One one four 473. Man, that's beautiful, dude. Right off that high. Let's go back. Let's take this out. Entire. Nice work, dude. Off the double top. My man. Push down retracement off the double top here. Great work, dude. Great patience, right? Great job just sticking in there. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Almost 1,000 pips. My man. My man, that's awesome, dude. That's absolutely awesome. 1,000 pips off of one move. It's there, good people. It's there, man. Just got to take advantage of it and start to pull the trigger once you have your rules in place. Once you have your rules in place, just pull the trigger, right? Follow the rules. Let the chips fall where they may, right? And do it again the next time. So great work, One Dawson. Great work, man. Great work. That's awesome. That is awesome. Excited to hear that. So, man, that's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. There's so many people that they don't get 1,000 pips in a year, right? So many people don't get 1,000 pips in a year. People struggle to get 100 pips in a month. And what, 3 months? What are we in? Month 5? So 5 months, sitting at almost 1,000 pips, right? If this continues to move to the downside, it'd be over 1,000 pips. A lot of people don't get that in a year. That's amazing, bro. Great work, dude. Great work. So it's there for anybody that doubts it, right? Chat with One Dawson. It's there. The opportunity is there, but it's only there if you're willing to put in the work, right? It's only there if you're willing to put in the work. So let's take a few minutes. Any pairs you guys want to take a look at, drop those in the chat, and we'll check them out. Euro Aussie, pound Swiss. Mary, that was a great setup on the pound Swiss too. Great move to the downside. That moved in a hurry. Let's take a look at the Euro Aussie. All right, so look, this Euro Aussie from weekly time frame perspective, right? We zoom out and take a look at this. Okay. Had price pushed down, weekly level, monthly level, couldn't close below that monthly level, right? Couldn't close below the monthly level. Now we're getting pressed back to the upside, okay? Trying to pull back some, right? But we're getting pressed to the upside there, right? Key level. Drop down to the daily. This is where we sit on the daily, right? Zoom out and take a look. Active AB boundary here, right? Shallow retracement, pushed down, couldn't break out, came back to this daily level. So we're struggling to break through this daily level here, right? But we did get a break of our trend line, okay? Did get a break of the trend line, and now we're pressing up, right? Originally, that break would have been here, like so, okay? So got a trend line break, pushing to the upside, came into this daily level, struggling a little bit, right? Got the Aussie commodity currency. We got the euro which is a laggard from a monetary policy perspective. Okay. So fundamentally, you got kind of some indecision, right, on which one will be the strongest of the two. Because right now in a risk off environment. So that speaks to some of this indecision here. All right. So we drop down to the 4. Excuse me. Zoom out. And this is what we look like on the 4. On the 4, we got a 38 to retracement off the break of the trend line. We got there, right? Ran into this daily level. This is the pullback that we got. So from a 4-hour perspective, what I would want to see, I really would like to see this daily resistance level get broken and price to continue to press to the upside. All right. That's what I would like to see here. So I would love to see a deep retracement and then price move back in favor of the Aussie. Overall, right, come back to the daily, it's just been down, right? But we are in this range on a weekly time frame, right? Bottom of the range, we could be trying to work our way back to the top, right? So it's a matter of ultimately which one is stronger than the other, right? And we want to see if this daily level gets broken, because that's going to be key for us to get back to this weekly level in the top of this range. Okay, so I would definitely like to see that happen. So from 4-hour perspective, this is where we sit though, right? You got some indecision. Ultimately, overall, this is the short-term range that we've been playing in right here. All right, that's the range that we're playing in right now. We need a breakout either to the top or to the bottom, one of the two. All right, so we drop down to the 1. This is where we sit on the 1. All right. This is our fib to the downside here. We got a trend line break. We'll take these out. Take those out. Now we're looking at this here, right? So we got a 618 retracement. Price pushed down to this 118 level. And now we're trying to push back to the upside. So we're just sideways right now. Just sideways right now. So in my opinion, there's easier pairs to trade, right? Because you got two currencies that are kind of in, well, not the currencies are indecisive, but you got a risk-off environment, which doesn't bode well for the Aussie. You got the euro that's a laggard, facing some strong pressure from an inflationary perspective. But overall, the central bank is slow to take action. So you got consolidation and indecision for these two pairs. So in my opinion, there's easier pairs to trade. So for me right now, I don't have a setup. I don't have a setup on this. I'm just watching and waiting for a decision to be made in one way or the other, right? Be it up to take out the A, right? And hopefully break through this daily level, or press down, get to the D extension and the trend line to give me a new fib to then play from there, right? So I've got no trade on the Euro Aussie at the moment. Questions on that?
No, thanks.
All right. Then pound Swissy. This thing moved in a hurry. This thing moved in a hurry. It was a beautiful markup that you put in the Facebook group, and look at it, right? Strong move to the downside. Overall, been in a range, right? So this is a range play also. Top of the range. Now we're pushing back down to the bottom of the range, okay? So what we could see here, this is a strong impulsive move to the downside. So there is potential for a retracement to happen, right? But ultimately, I'd be looking for this thing to get back down to the bottom of this range, and then we'd be able to assess from there, right? Risk off environment. Recently, boding well for the Swissy, right? Last week, we talked about how the central bank is observing the other central banks around the world, but they were still standing by their monetary policy decisions and being really loose. So we're thinking, they're starting to assess, but they haven't made any strong decisions, and they still haven't made any changes, but we're in a risk-off environment, and the Swiss franc is a safe place to be, right, along with the yen. So we could see, if we stay in this risk-off environment, the potential for this daily support level at some point to get broken if we really, really push into this risk-off environment, right? So if we bounce back out to the daily time frame, right, it's been a downward move overall, okay? But recently, again, it's just been this range. So we could see a pullback and then a continuation down, come back to the daily level, and then we'll see if this daily level holds or if it gets broken, right? In the short term, like I said, look for a pullback to happen, and then look for continuation to the downside. I do believe, in this opinion, in my opinion anyway, right? So look for a pullback and a continuation. If you run your sub fibs off the 1 to the downside, this is your AB boundary, right? So if you get a deep retracement like this, I think that'd be a beautiful setup. I think that'd be a beautiful setup, right? Come back and retest the previous support level here, right? Before then a continuation to the downside, okay? If you're somebody that wants to play the B2C move on this, right? You can either play that or wait to see if you get a shallow retracement and price push down to the 118, 127 zone, like that, which is the bottom of that zone, right? Bottom of that zone, take out the A. This is our new fib, right? Now we could have a 118, 127 play in the range if that level holds for a move back up, right? So those are the two options there that I would wait for, right? Yeah, I would definitely like to see this get down to this daily level. So if we get a shallow retracement and push down, I'll be looking for buying opportunities potentially to ride that back to the upside, if that daily level holds. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Cool deal. While we're on this side, we'll take a look at Bitcoin real quick. Haven't looked at it in a while, so we shall see. We shall see. Zoom out. Let's hop back to the, we'll take this out. Hop back to the daily. There's that crown pattern that we mapped out back here, back in March, right? Playing out beautifully. Playing out beautifully, right? We got a 38.2 retracement. Matching the extension is around 10,000. I don't know if we get there, but we could at least get to this $20,000 mark, right? But that ground pattern is playing out just as we anticipated. Down, 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 down is the play, right? I don't anticipating that bias changing anytime soon. Bitcoin has been moving similar to the tech sector. And as you guys can see, tech sector is getting hit hard, right? When you have money becoming expensive, right? They can't put money into their investments, right? They can't put money into innovation, right? To continue to grow and expand because it's expensive. So they pull back on those things and slow down, right? You see guys like Ray Dalio take 2.6 million out of Tesla and 2.6 billion out of Tesla and 3 billion out of Apple, right? And move it into a safe space like Berkshire Hathaway. It's going to have an impact on the tech sector, right? Going to have an impact on the tech sector. Bitcoin is similar to that, right? We got to a high price, a really, really high price. People started taking their profit, right? Started taking their profit, which is going to push the market down. That's how we get these waves, right? It was inevitable for it to happen, right? But also looking at it from a investor perspective, right? As governments try to figure out how to utilize the blockchain and Bitcoin and the other coins that are available, nobody wants to buy anything that's expensive. You want to buy it cheap. So what would have to happen? Price got to come down. It just makes sense. It just makes sense, right? Price got to come down. It's not going to go straight up like it did for a long time, right? It did for a long time, but price got to come down, right? For really, really big, stable money to come into the game, they want it cheap, right? 20,000 is cheap, right? If it breaks that level and pushes down to 10,000, that's cheap, right? But it's playing out as we expected to the downside, right? Drop down to the 4, same thing. Same thing, right? This is your right tip, price pushing to the downside. If you run your fib off the right tip down, right? You got an AB boundary here, didn't quite get a 38.2, but you're getting consolidation here at this daily level, right? So if then statements, right? If price pushes above this daily level, we could see a retracement occur, right? Back to the trend line potentially. If price breaks down and stays below this level, you can see a retest and a continuation. But at the end of the day, even if price does give you a retracement here, right? Still looking at this overall. Still looking at that overall, right? As a hedge against inflation, not moving so much. Is this why people are starting to say gold is falling out of favor as a hedge against inflation and not moving as much with the fundamentals? You know, I'm not sure. I haven't heard that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It could be. It could be. What you'll also see. I'll post this link to this interview with Ray Dalio. He's a big time investor that I follow. Been wrong some, but he's been right a lot too. Owner of Bridgewater Capital. He talks about these cycles, right, and how empires move in cycles, right? At some point, an empire will end and a new one will begin, right? And he said there's 7 cycles, and there's 7 stages to a cycle, and we're in stage 6, right? Of the cycle as we're moving through. And ultimately, what you see is a lot of civil unrest. You see economies start to deteriorate and deteriorate quickly. You see global unrest and global economies start to shift. You have people like countries like China, which has the fastest growing middle class in the world, right? And you have wars starting to break out in multiple areas, right? With Russia and Ukraine, but you also have China starting to surround Taiwan, right? Which is another potential war that's brewing, right? If Russia continues to make the progress it is in Ukraine, right? You'll see China start to invade Taiwan, and that's going to cause some major shakeups, right? Cause some major shakeups, which would then cause things to shift. So as the cycle moves, you'll see some of these safe havens, right? Gold, things like that, start to shift based on what countries are starting to move into power, right? And you'll start to see their commodities really start to shine and start to push to the forefront. So it'll be interesting to see one, Dawson. It'll be interesting to see if gold continues to stay that way. We'll take a look at it though. It's not, I don't trade gold, but I'll take a look at it and see where it is from a markup perspective. But Bitcoin, right? Down is the answer. Down is the answer, right? Looking forward to come at least to this $20,000 mark, and then we'll see how this daily level holds from there. All right. Down to the 1. Similar thing, right? If you run your fib off the top, here, like so, maybe. There we go, right? Similar look, right? Shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone. You got this consolidation, right? So this still stands. You get a retracement here off the 1 or the 4. Still looking forward to come back to that trend line. If it goes that way, if it pushes down in a bearish fashion, stays below this level, you could get a retest and then a continuation to the downside there. All right. So that's Bitcoin. Questions? Nope. All right, cool deal. Double bottom 1786. Yeah. Some of those levels are real key. I believe that's the level Benny was eyeing too, to see if gold stays within that. Let's see. Euro GBP. All right. Euro GBP, we talked about this one this morning too, right? Been in this range, right? Trying to see if we get a breakout to the upside, see if we get that continuation, right? A nice bullish move here, and we got a nice retracement. Came back down, retested that trend line, right? And then we're starting to get a push to the upside, okay? Starting to get a push to the upside. Yeah, our favorite pair, Mary. Slow motion, right? So as we go to the 4, right? This is that move to the upside that we saw, okay? We said we'd like to see price pull back and continue. We got a nice break of the trend line here, right? Got a nice break of the trend line. And we wanted to see a nice pullback, which we got. Gave us a wick, but some indecision, pullback right back to that level that we wanted to see it come to, right? And now we're getting this push to the upside, right? Trend line break, pullback. Now we're getting the move, okay? Now we're getting the move. So we take all this extra out, right? So now as we get down to the 1, you can see those details, right? See the details. This is it, AB boundary, right? We got this nice retracement that happened here. Came back to an 8-6 level, starting to push to the upside, right? This was your trend line break right here, right? That we saw on the 4. This is that pullback that we said we wanted to see this morning. Came right back to that trend line, bang. And now we're pushing, right? Now in this up push zone, I'm pushing, trying to make our way up, right? So if we break above this weekly level, right, we'll see it continue to ride, right? At least back to matching the extension right here, okay? So we'll see how price fares as it continues to push, right? This is a slow moving pair, HR 12. So, so we'll see it take its time, right? But at the end of the day, it's making higher lows, right? As it's moving to the upside. So looking forward to at least come back to this 85760 level, and then we'll see what happens from there. All right. So pushing to the upside as we looked at this morning. Okay. Questions on that Euro GBP? No. All right, cool deal. And we're gonna wrap this thing up with gold. Yeah, we're gonna wrap this thing up with gold. So XAU. So gold. Let me clean this up a little bit. We'll see what is happening. I can hit a daily D extension there. Let's see. Gold, right? We got a double top action here. We got a nice press to the downside. Take these trend lines out. Nice press to the downside, like so. Let's see. Run our fib from the top on this one. Let's see where we land. Yep. Right. So push down, hit that D extension. Bang. Right. Daily D extension hit at a key level, right? At a key weekly level, weekly support. Okay. Weekly support. Got a nice reaction. Now we're getting just some sideways movement, right? Getting some sideways movement. Once actually our new fib look like this. This is our new AB boundary here. Once it pops in, it'll pop in, right? But we got 2 candles to the right, 2 candles to the left of the low, right? So that's our swing low, new support level, right? So now I want to see, right? Do we get this move back to the upside? Right? 1785. When Dolson's looking for potential another push to the downside, give a double bottom there, right? But that's where we at. That's where we at. We're getting some consolidation right now at this daily level. Okay. So we drop, whoops. Drop down to the 1. I'm sorry, 1 the daily. Drop to the 4. On the 4, that's where we sit, right? More detailed, a closer look there. So let's drop the fib. Yeah. So AB boundary, shallow retracement, push down, hit that daily D extension, push up to the 236 level, consolidation, right? So this daily level is going to be key for us to follow, right? If we stay below this level, we could push down to this 118, 127 zone, right? Or back down to the bottom of this weekly support range, right? That one Dawson's looking for, okay? Give you that double bottom. If the other option is, right, if price breaks above this daily level in a nice bullish fashion, right, strong bullish candle, you get a retest and a continued ride higher like so, right? So this daily level is going to be key to watch. Going to be key to watch. If we stay below, look for it to come back down to this weekly level, right? If we break above, look for it to push higher. Okay. Has been a nice, strong, long move to the downside, right? Retracement is probably due at some point. It's just a matter of when, right? Just a matter of when. So sideways movement right now, be patient with it, right? And allow it to tell you when it's going to go, right? Drop the trend line on like so. And then we're on the 4, we'll drop down to the 1 as well, right? Drop the trend lines like so. Right, that would have been your trend line there, but ultimately this is just sideways movement, right? It's just a range. So we'll shift the trend line to the outermost point like so. Now, if we get a nice strong bullish move to the upside, we'll see that happen. If it stays below the trend line, let it stay below the trend line. Okay, let it stay below the trend line. So we'll get down to the 1. It's trying to turn over and push to the upside there. Let's run our fib from the high. Yeah, so you got a 618 retracement here. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be key, right? If you get a break of that trend line, that's what you're going to want to see for that continuing move to the upside. Yeah, same thing I said on the 4. Same thing I said on the 4, right? It's trying to turn over and trying to push to the upside here. Could potentially get a harmonic pattern in here, right? But this trend line is going to be key. Trend line in this daily level is going to be key, right? You get that break of both, you'll see that ride. If you don't, you'll see price push back down to the downside. So be patient with it and really see if you get a nice bullish break of this trend line here. That's what I would want to see in order to get in this move to the upside for continued move from a higher time frame perspective. From this 4-hour perspective, or even from that daily, right? I definitely want to see that. Right. And after that entry, I'd likely, right, play my position off of these higher time frames, right, and look for a deeper retracement, potentially coming back to this weekly resistance level if we get this break to the upside. Right. So that's where I stand on gold. Any questions? Does that make sense? My thought process here? Yeah. All right. Cool deal. Any questions about anything that we covered today before we wrap it up? No? All right, good people. Appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you guys showing up tonight. Continue showing up for yourself, right? And remember, got to put in the work, right? So those of you that haven't posted any of your homework yet, post your homework, right? Be it in the Facebook group, right? Forex Trade Room Facebook group, or in the Inner Circle community. Okay. It's important that you do the homework. Post it so we can give you feedback, right? Ask your questions. It's important to do that. That's where you get your reps in, and we can also give you the feedback in live action, right? So appreciate you guys. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time for the New York session. We look forward to seeing you there. You guys have a great evening or great morning, depending on where you are, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.
Thank you. Good night.
You're welcome.